Hey, back in the home kitchen today because I've got something really strange to show you. I went off to my weekly visit for the farmer's market like I normally do, but I made the mistake of going on Monday this week. Monday, not a good day for the farmer's market. They get pretty much wiped out on the weekend. So I went to my Angus beef guy and I said, hey, do you have any steak? I love tenderloin steaks from the local farmer. And he wasn't there, so he didn't hear me ask him that. But the booth right next door, I said, hey, where's the steak guy? She said he's not here on Monday, but have you ever tried ostrich? No. I hate to admit, as a chef, I've never tried ostrich. So she sent me home with this beautiful ostrich fillet. Here's the problem. Where do I find an ostrich recipe? This is yet another point in case in point, both of them, about how you don't need recipes to cook things. Would you ever buy an ostrich fillet? No, because you'd be so stressed about finding an ostrich recipe, you'd absolutely freak out. You'd hide your head in the sand. You know I had to use that once. But we're going to cook this ostrich today without an ostrich recipe because it is a protein product. It looks just like beef, so why can't I cook it the same way? Why can't I apply basic cooking methods to an ingredient that I've never even seen or heard of before and have it come out the same way? So my friends at the Hilltop Ostrich Farm sent me home with a little pamphlet, and it gives me some ideas of how to cook the ostrich, all of which I'm going to ignore because I'm going to apply a basic cooking method. But here's the thing that I love, and if you've been watching these episodes for long, you know this runs all over me. They tell you how to tell when the ostrich is done, and they have a little diagram with a hand and a finger poking the hand. Come on. We know the only way to tell when a protein product is done is with a thermometer. I like my digital thermometer, and the way we're going to cook this ostrich is with my wireless digital thermometer, my heavy cast iron pan that's in the oven right now. I've got that up to 450 degrees, as hot as I can get that cast iron pan. Then we're going to prep this with a little bit of pepper and a very simple sear in the cast iron. Thermometer stuck in it, and when it goes doot doot doot, it's done. It doesn't matter if it's ostrich or beef or bison or any of it. I don't need a recipe because I have basic cooking methods and I have a quantifiable way to tell when it's done. First thing I'll do, like any protein product, any cut of meat, I don't care that it's ostrich, this will be interesting, but let's coat it with a little bit of fat. Some olive oil just to coat it. This will help in browning a little bit. Seal it up with some fat. And then secondly, let's get my pepper mill. Love the big pepper mill. And let's coat both sides of this with a little bit of pepper. And then we'll add a little bit of salt to it, just for some flavoring. And then start to look at our cast iron pan in the oven. Lastly, a little bit of salt on my ostrich fillet. I know that's going to draw some moisture out, but I also know that it's going to add some flavor to it. I've never had ostrich, I've never cooked ostrich before, but I don't need a recipe, I just need a basic method. Why a cast iron pan? Let's see, my temperature on the oven, 450 degrees. The cast iron pan, why? Because I want to be able to put this in the oven. I want to, it's getting hot right through the glove. I want to be able to use that direct source heat to sear this protein product, my ostrich steak, sear the protein product as if it were sauté, but I can't leave it on the stove top because that direct source heat will not cook it all the way through. I get this question in the forums and emails quite often. I've done a sauté method, but my fond burns. It's probably because your item is too thick. So while I want to see this sear on the bottom, most certainly, I'm most interested in the final internal temperature, and that's accomplished with my instant read thermometer, digital thermometer. Stick the probe part into the thickest part of the thickest piece, back in the oven it goes. Here's the transmitter on the outside of the oven, and my temperature probe here. The one good piece of advice they gave me at the ostrich farm was to cook it rare. And you know, when I get things directly from the farmer's market, I have a lot more confidence in the quality of it, that I can cook my steaks a little more rare. I can try ostrich and cook it rare. And luckily, because I cook in a quantifiable method, I have a steak number. My steak number is 128 degrees Fahrenheit. I know that's when it's done. This, I'm going to go another temperature or two. Let's say 130, we'll take it out, we let it carry over 5 degrees, and the ostrich people tell me it's going to be just like roast beef. So searing any kind of protein product in a heavy cast iron pan then enables you to put it in the oven and take advantage of that convective process and slowly roast our ostrich. It's ostrich. We'll see how it comes out when my thermometer goes off. All right, my thermometer reads, can you see that? There we go. My thermometer reads 133. So if somebody ever asks you, and this is the question that I get asked more than often, time. How long should I cook turkey? How long should I cook ham? It's not long, it's time. Don't tell by your watch. It's temperature, not time. So my ostrich should be ready. Let's take that out. Let's take the probe out of there. And don't forget, this is still 5 degrees or so from where I want it to be because I'm going to get that carryover cooking. So let's take our ostrich steak out. Look at that. That's beautiful. Looks like a beef steak. And of course, what's in the bottom of the pan? Fond. We all know it by now. And what can I do with the fond? Well, I can saute some other things in it to add flavor. I've got some onions. Throw the onions in there. Let's do some red peppers and yellow squash. They go in there. Back to the tongs. Don't forget the cast iron pan gets really hot. And start to stir those around in the fond to saute a little bit. Deglaze the pan. Maybe some red wine. Yes, that's red wine. To deglaze the pan with. And see how this is residual heat from the oven. I don't have the burner on top of the stove. This is just the residual heat from the pan. And lastly, I've got a little bit of beef broth here. I'll add that to the pan to add a moist cooking method. And return this to the oven to roast those vegetables just a little bit. Let's take a look at our ostrich and see if this is any different than beef. All right, here's that nice ostrich fillet that looks beautiful. Looks just like beef, doesn't it? Let's give it a carve on a nice slight bias. Serrated slicing knife is the knife for the job. Look at that beautiful temperature. That is exactly what I was looking for. That nice rare temperature. This is accomplished with a thermometer and not with a clock. And at plate up, I have this beautiful ostrich. Excuse me. I've decided to serve it with our squash and red pepper julienne, deglazed with red wine and a little beef broth. And I made myself a really nice rice dish. I got a 4 rice blend at the farmer's market, and I put some cranberries in it as well because the ostrich seemed like a little strange gamier kind of thing. And here's our plate with our ostrich steak. 4 kinds of rice with cranberries in it, and red pepper and squash fillet. So don't be afraid of ostrich. Don't hide. I won't do it again. Don't be afraid of ostrich because it's basic cooking methods. When you cook with basic cooking methods, then you can pick any ingredients. Try wild boar. Try all kinds of stuff you never heard of because I've never had ostrich, and I hate to admit in the years of cooking I've never cooked ostrich, but somebody presented me with the opportunity to do something new and I seized it. What did I call upon? My basic cooking methods. I cooked this ostrich steak in the time it would take you to search for an ostrich recipe. So yet more proof that recipes don't work. Basic cooking methods always empower you over recipes, especially if you want to make ostrich. Man, that was different than anything I have ever had before, and if you come to webcookingclasses.com tomorrow, check out my blog. I'll be talking about it more. Ostrich, a brand new thing for me. It was interesting.